The invitation came wrapped in forced politeness and typed with the kind of tone that made Mira feel like a stranger in her own family. Family brunch, Sunday at 11 a.m. at the Hillside Country Club. Dress accordingly. Love, Mom and Dad. The word love didn't fool her. It was mechanical, like their hugs, like their check-ins every third month. If anything, it was less about connection and more about performance. They were always curating an image for their friends, for their status, for the town. Mira hadn't been home in 4 years. Not since she walked away from her full ride at Columbia to build her denim startup. At the time, her parents called it a meltdown, an embarrassment, and a waste of a good name. They cut her off financially, socially, emotionally, a clean slice, like they were disowning a bad investment. But she'd survived, somehow, scarred but standing. Now she was walking into the lion's den, not because she missed them, but because she had something to see for herself. Something to prove. The Hillside Country Club hadn't changed. The wrought iron gate stood tall and smug at the entrance, wrapped in red and gold ivy. Perfect lawns, a marble fountain shaped like a swan, and the valet boys in white gloves. All of it screamed money. Old money. Mira stepped out of the Uber, wearing faded jeans, scuffed boots, and a simple white t-shirt tucked into a belt that had seen better days. Her hair was tied back in a loose bun, her makeup minimal. She didn't dress down on purpose. This was her, the woman she became in New York, between 3 a.m. Sewing shifts, rejection emails, ramen dinners, and stubborn dreams. She caught the way the valet blinked twice at her outfit, hesitated before asking, "Do you have a reservation?" "No," she smiled. "I'm meeting someone, the Covington party. Of course, right this way, miss." He led her through the entrance and into the dining hall, crystal chandeliers above, laughter echoing off glass walls, and women in pastel dresses, sipping mimosas like they were born doing it. Mira spotted her parents instantly. Elizabeth and Gerald Covington, the golden couple of Hillside. Her mother's pearls sparkled like they had their own lighting team. Her father's navy blazer fit like a tailored lie. They were surrounded by 3 other couples, sipping espresso and talking about real estate and someone's third yacht. And then came the silence. Mira approached, her boots clicking against marble, her jeans standing out like a stain on linen. Her mother's eyes scanned her from head to toe. That signature frown curved onto her face like muscle memory. Her father leaned back slightly, as if physical distance would soften the offense. "Mira," Elizabeth said with a strained smile. "You came, I said I would. Well, you could have at least worn something proper. She looks like she came from a barn," murmured one of the women, not softly enough. Mira raised an eyebrow but said nothing. Gerald chuckled, not even hiding it. "God, Mira, are those the same jeans from high school? Did you get lost on the way to a mechanic shop?" Everyone laughed. Mira stood still, hands in her pockets. She could feel the burn in her throat, the way her jaw clenched. The younger version of her would have cried, maybe stormed out, but that Mira was long gone, buried under years of grit and concrete dreams. "I didn't realize denim was illegal now," she said coolly. "Oh, it's not," Elizabeth added quickly. "Just frowned upon. It's a club thing, darling. Tradition, you understand. Tradition." That word again, the same one they used to justify everything they didn't want to understand: her career, her lifestyle, her existence. "Anyway," Elizabeth pivoted, "we were just talking about the renovations at the East Wing. Gerald's in charge of the investment committee now. The new owner is apparently rebranding the place. Can you believe it? Someone had the nerve to buy our club." "Our club?" Mira asked, biting back a smile. "Well, it's not ours, of course, but we've been members for 30 years. It's practically family. Whoever bought it clearly has no idea what Hillside is about." Mira took a slow sip of the water the waiter had placed in front of her. Maybe they do. Maybe they just see what it could be. Her mother blinked. "Well, we'll see, but honestly, Mira, if you're staying in town a few days, at least let me take you shopping. You can't walk around like that. People might think you're staff." The laughter came again. Mira forced a smile. It was either that or explode. She stood up, sliding her chair back. "You know what, I think I'm good." "Oh, come on," her father said, still smirking. You're not leaving just because we teased you a little, are you? Lighten up. I'm not angry, she said quietly. But you made it pretty clear I don't belong here. I just came to confirm it. Her mother looked slightly uncomfortable now. Oh, Mira, don't be dramatic. Mira nodded once. You're right, I'll save the drama. She started walking toward the exit, passing tables of polished men and painted women. As she reached the door, she turned back for just a moment. You know, she said loud enough for their table to hear. You should be nicer to people in jeans. You never know when they'll be the ones signing your checks. Confused looks. A few nervous chuckles, but Mira was already gone, the sun catching the frayed edge of her denim like a silent badge of honor. Outside, she slipped on her sunglasses, exhaled, and smiled to herself. They had no idea, not yet, but they would. New York City was brutal. The kind of place that tested not just your patience but your soul, especially when you walked in with nothing but a duffel bag, a worn notebook full of ideas, and a bank account that mocked you. With 2 digits, Mira had left Hillside with no degree, no inheritance, and no blessing. What she had was conviction. That her idea mattered. That the world didn't need another overpriced label selling false glamour. It needed something real. Honest, built from the ground up, like her. Denim was her canvas. Every patch, every stitch, every recycled thread. It told a story. Of survival, of reinvention. Her startup, True Thread, began in a roach-infested apartment in Brooklyn, on a borrowed sewing machine and under the flicker of a dying kitchen light. She made her first pair of jeans with denim scraps from a thrift store and YouTube tutorials at 3 a.m. The next morning, she posted a photo of them online, no filters, no models, just her wearing them on the fire escape, coffee in one hand, middle finger to the fashion elite in the other. That photo got 4 likes, then 2 shares, then an indie blogger reposted it with the caption, "Who is this girl flipping off the fashion industry in the most perfect jeans I've ever seen?" It snowballed. The orders came in waves she wasn't ready for. She worked 16-hour days, fingers sore, eyes strained. She stitched every pair herself at first, learning along the way how much work it took to scale a dream. People told her to give up. A boyfriend left because he wanted a woman, not a machine who sleeps in thread dust. Landlords threatened eviction more than once. Some investors ghosted her the minute they realized she wouldn't trade authenticity for mass production. Still, she refused to outsource to sweatshops. She refused to raise prices to fit luxury expectations. And she absolutely refused to take her parents' calls, not that they tried often. When they did, it was always the same. Still playing dress up. We heard you're sewing jeans for strangers now, charming. If you come home, we'll see if Gerald can get you an admin job at his firm. For stability. But Mira didn't want stability. She wanted meaning. She wanted the kid who had no trust fund and wore thrifted clothes to feel like a boss in her jeans. She wanted to prove that fashion didn't have to be cruel to be cool. 3 years in, True Thread hit its first $1 million in revenue. Not from runway shows, from real people, baristas, students, mechanics, single moms, posting their stories in her jeans. Mira created a campaign called #MyTrueThread, and it blew up on social media. People didn't just wear the brand, they lived in it. Cried in it, fought in it, got hired in it. She hired her first small team, all self-taught creators, most of them women, all of them ignored by the fashion world. Mira paid fair wages, offered flexible schedules, and printed every pair of jeans with a secret label stitched inside. Built from the threads of your truth. Wear it proud. Investors came crawling back. This time Mira picked carefully. No suits who wanted to whitewash the brand. No deals that asked her to change the message. She found a silent partner who believed in her mission and offered something she hadn't expected, leverage. You ever think about investing in real estate? Her lawyer asked one day over coffee in Manhattan. I'm too busy making jeans, Mira shrugged. Well, one of your shell companies is up for consideration in a property deal back in Hillside. She paused mid-sip. Where in Hillside? The Hillside Country Club. Her hands tightened around the cup. They're going bankrupt, she asked, incredulous. No, but the board is quietly considering a buyout. Some mismanagement. Debt from an expansion gone wrong. Looks like they are selling to cover their tracks. You interested? She didn't answer immediately. She didn't need to. The papers were signed within a month. The board, desperate to keep things discreet, never asked who the buyer behind Threadstone Holdings LLC was. Mira watched it unfold from a distance, silent, calculating, calm. She didn't need to gloat. She just wanted control. And an opportunity. The legacy brunch was coming up, a decades-old hillside tradition, where the club's most prestigious families gathered for speeches, donations, and gossip disguised as networking. Mira reserved her attendance quietly, no announcement, no press. She had one goal: to show up, be seen, and let the truth unravel on its own, stitch by stitch. As the date neared, she revisited the same jeans they had laughed at, torn, faded, and still holding strong. She added one final stitch inside the waistband, a thin gold thread in the shape of a crown, because power didn't always wear silk. Sometimes it wore denim. The morning of the legacy brunch was crisp and clear, the kind of fall day that made Hillside look like something from a magazine. Red and amber leaves fluttered like confetti along the stone path leading to the country club. The valet boys were out early, polishing cars and complimenting fur coats they couldn't afford. Mira stepped out of the black car in slow motion, the same boots, the same worn jeans. This time, though, her white shirt was crisp, tucked in with a quiet confidence. Around her waist, a belt crafted from upcycled leather bore the subtle initials T. T. True thread. Her blazer, thrifted and tailored by her own hands, sat on her shoulders like a crown. She walked past the valet, past the glass doors, and into the belly of the building that once rejected her presence. No one knew yet that was the best part. Inside, the legacy brunch was already buzzing. A string quartet played in the corner. Servers balanced towers of champagne. Tables glowed under ornate lights, full of Hillside's finest, the socialites, the developers, the ladies with pearl necklaces tight enough to cut off empathy. Mira spotted her parents at the far end of the hall. Elizabeth Covington was in her element, clutching her wine glass like a trophy, whispering about who gained weight and who lost their fortune. Gerald stood nearby, laughing with the club's board president, a tall man with 2 white teeth and a handshake made of empty promises. And then they saw her, Mira, same jeans, same boots, same daughter except different. Elizabeth blinked, visibly thrown. "Mirith," she said, voice taut with confusion. "You wore those again." Mira offered a polite smile. "Good morning to you, too." Her father looked around quickly, noticing the stares. "Jesus, Mira, couldn't you have?" He lowered his voice. "At least try to look appropriate. This isn't some back alley protest." "I know exactly where I am," Mira said softly. "But thanks for the reminder." Before they could argue, the microphone crackled. The board president stood center stage, clearing his throat. "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending this year's Legacy Brunch. Today is special. As you may have heard, the club has recently undergone some changes, and today, we have the pleasure of introducing the new owner of Hillside Country Club." Mira watched her mother freeze, the wine glass pausing midair. "Owner," she whispered. Gerald turned, puzzled. "What? They said it was a private investor." Elizabeth's voice rose just enough for those nearby to hear. "Well, whoever it is, they better not ruin the club. Hillside has traditions, values. I hope this isn't someone trying to make a fashion statement. And now," the board president continued, "please welcome to the stage, Mira Covington." The hall fell silent, stunned. Mira stepped forward, steady, heels clicking softly on the wood floor. Dozens of eyes followed her, unsure whether to clap or blink twice. She took the mic, letting the weight of the moment settle. "Thank you," she began. "I know this is a surprise. I'm sure some of you are wondering if this is a joke, or a publicity stunt, or an elaborate episode of Hillside Housewives." A few scattered chuckles broke the tension. "But it's not. My name is Mira Covington, and yes, I am the new owner of this club." She paused, letting the room react. Some gasped, others whispered. Her parents sat stone, still, eyes wide, expression stuck between confusion and humiliation. "I was born into this world," she continued, "but I wasn't raised by it. Because when I chose to build something of my own, something different, I was mocked, ridiculed, even laughed out of this very place." More eyes turned toward Elizabeth and Gerald now. "Some of you laughed because I wore jeans. You saw denim and assumed I was less important, less capable, less Hillside." She took a deep breath. But these jeans, they carried me through every failure, every heartbreak. Every night I worked until sunrise building a business that believed in people, not privilege. A brand that paid fair wages, that honored stories, that rejected the idea that you have to wear $1,000 dress to deserve respect. She looked toward her parents now, not cruelly, just truthfully. These jeans built a company that today employs 94 people, has sold in 22 countries, and now owns the very club where it was once told it didn't belong. Silence. Then a slow clap from the server in the back, then another, and another, until the room filled with applause, rising like justice. Mira nodded once, stepping away from the mic, her heart pounding but steady. Her mother stood up, pale, lips trembling. "Mira," she said quietly, "why didn't you tell us?" Mira turned to her, smiling gently. "Because you wouldn't have believed me." Gerald tried to recover. "Well, you've clearly done. Well, we're proud, of course. We always believed in your potential, we just didn't want it to look different than yours," Mira finished. "I know." They stood there, exposed, watching their daughter, the one they wrote off, take the room with grace and grit. And then Mira said the final words before leaving the stage. "These jeans," she glanced down at them, "they're not a fashion statement, they're a reminder that no one gets to tell you what you're worth, not even the people who raised you."